Good day, everyone. Welcome to Baby's Advocate. My name is Damilola. I'm a mom who loves to share tips on how to better understand our babies and to help make our life easier. Once we understand our babies, now half of the problems are solved. Yes. Now, have you ever been in a situation whereby you felt like, oh, if I'd had this situation I would have been able to cope with this situation better? That's what today's video is about. I'm talking about things I wish I knew before I went to the hospital, things I wish I took along to the hospital that would have helped my transition into motherhood easier. Now, in my hospital bag video, if you have not watched it, I'll put the link down in the description box, so you click on it and go and watch it. I mentioned a couple of things that I didn't know what they were for and why they're asking us to bring. Now, one of them is oil. I said, why are we asked to bring oil? Was it used for delivery? No. It wasn't. It was used to clean up a baby. Remember in my delivery story, that was my previous story, I also linked the link in the description box, so if you've not watched it, go and check it out. I mentioned a woman that came in and delivered, and I saw how they prepped the child. That was how I knew what the oil was for. The oil was used to remove all the, will I call it muck or whatever? Was just to clean up the baby, because when the baby comes out from the womb, they don't bath them. They just clean them up. That is what the oil is for. The oil is used to clean up the baby before dressing them up. Then also, the bucket with cover. I said I don't know if I had the right size. I still had the wrong size because it was too big. The reason why we asked to come with bucket is that in case you end up like me, that didn't plan for cesarean and end up having cesarean, because after cesarean you can't eat for, you won't eat for like 24 hours. Like 12 hours you won't eat at all, then you start taking water, liquid little by little, then you take pap. At least that was how I was treated. So I can't feed a baby on an empty stomach now. So for the first 24 hours my baby was on bottle. So because of that, the bucket was used as a sterilizing kit for all her bottles and everything she used in feeding. Then I was like, why will public hospital ask for a full box of glove? Why? It is too much. For people that, in my case, that what happened to me was what happened to them, that was checked severally by different doctors. They used, like, if I was to count how many gloves the doctor used, I'm sure there will be more than 50, because minimum they wear 2 on each hand. Yes, minimum. Because when they want to check, they wear 2 on each hand. So, and the doctors will wear, the nurses will wear anytime they want to touch you. So they used a lot of glove. Now I understand that they're not just asking for the glove because they want the glove, but because they need it. And that my big belly cotton wool, I was like, it's too much. Why am I going to the hospital with this? Well, I needed it most because I had cesarean. It was in my presence. The nurses took the ones they needed and returned the rest into my bag. And when it was time to start cleaning up my wound, that was what I used. There you see, when they write list for you, not the one that will put biscuit you. When they write reasonable list for you, you know that yes, there is a reason for all those things in the list. Now, things I wish I took to the hospital that would have made my life easier. Number 1 was clothing. You might feel like, how can you say clothing? Yes, clothing. I took gowns to the hospital, not skirt and blouse. I would have felt more comfortable if I had gone to the hospital with skirt and blouse. Ask me why. When I started breastfeeding finally, because I'm on the big side and my body now knows that the baby is out and is already secreting milk, my breast was becoming engorged, was heavy. To now bring my breast out from the top of the gown was not easy. I needed to wear a skirt and a top something that I'll be able to just breastfeed my baby in this direction, and I will have been free. Not that I will have to be bringing it out. If I'd had that, I had to call my husband to, please, excuse me sir, please, I need skirt and tops, don't come with gown again, I need skirt and top. He's like, okay, that's nice. He did that, came to my rescue. But if I had brought that, he wouldn't have to go through that stress, I wouldn't have to go through the stress. Then the skirt, because of for people that currently pregnant with their first child, or you're planning to get pregnant, when you finish giving birth, I remember even before I woke up finally, I was just touching my stomach. I'm like, is this my stomach? It's so soft. Imagine a flat tummy that grew to that extent, and now the baby has come out. It will be soft to some extent, like very soft. So the skirt was helped to keep my stomach in place. But before I got to the skirt, it was like everything was running everywhere. Now, in my hospital bag video, I mentioned that I'm just going with 10 diaper. I shouldn't stay more than 24 hours in the hospital. I was wrong. The hospital I gave birth, if you go through cesarean, 72 hours. No need to argue. If you go to vaginal delivery, 48 hours. No need to argue. Like, why do you have to stay that long in the hospital? Well, they have to check you to make sure that everything is fine, because most women, well, let's say people like me, once it is time for labor, for me, I had a fine pregnancy. I didn't have BP, I didn't have sugar level. But when I started going into labor and they kept checking me, they realized that my blood pressure shot up. Why? Said it's normal that for some women, when it's time for delivery during labor, they have high BP. So because of that, I was checked at intervals while I was in the hospital. So they have to make sure that my BP dropped to a certain level. They have to make sure that the baby is fine and all. So that 10 diaper was not going to cut it. Added to the fact that my baby was jaundiced. She had jaundice when we were in the hospital. So we spent 4 days in the hospital. So that 10 diaper, it didn't cut it. I ended up using like 20 to 30 diapers within 4 days. I was just corrected. 5 days. We used 5 days. Within 5 days in the hospital. So you see that we are just taking that 10 diaper. And you know, in our fun fact video, we say children use a lot of diaper in their first year of life. That is it. They use a lot of diaper. So that 10 diaper, they cut it out. If your own hospital is 24 hours, you might not need it. But for me, I wish I'd gone through that instead of having to call my husband back and forth to bring things and all. So the nightingale, I showed you the nightingale now. The pad, what that pad is for is that you lay it on the bed before you lie down. That will help their own bed sheet from, it will prevent their bed sheets from staining and also prevent your own clothes from being too messed up. Because I tried labor earlier, the one pack I bought was not enough. I ended up having to buy another pack. And before I got another pack, I had to borrow, because their supermarkets downstairs, they have. I had to call my husband to get because I needed, my bed was already messed up with blood, so I needed another one that I would use. Then this one, breastfeeding pillow. I wished I took it to the hospital. I really wish I took it to the hospital, because as a first-time mom, breastfeeding is work. The way your child is learning to breastfeed, so are you learning to breastfeed your child. No, see, I thought that I stayed with my sister now for 3 babies. I've seen her breastfeed now. It's going to be an easy peasy. I've carried other people. I'm a baby person. I carry people's baby. I see them breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is going to come easy. I grew into it. I learned to breastfeed. So if I'd had my breastfeeding pillow, because when I came back home and I used my pillow to breastfeed, I discovered that it was a lot easier. I sincerely, it was a lot easier. So it was a lot easier to breastfeed with a breastfeeding pillow. So even if I had a vaginal delivery, it will have still been a lot easier to breastfeed with a breastfeeding pillow. So if you can, please go to the hospital with your breastfeeding pillow. Another reason why the breastfeeding pillow was missed was because of my C-section. My stomach, layers of cutting. So I could not laugh when it comes to some situation. A lot of things they were saying, I was like, this is also like, I cannot laugh now. Why you say, please, stop saying something funny. If I had gone with my breastfeeding pillow, I would have just held it close to my stomach, put pressure on my stomach while I laughed, at least to a little extent. I won't feel that pressure, that pain, because I've already cushioned it. It will give me a cushion effect anytime I'm trying to laugh. Then the next one is panties. You'll be like, according to your hospital bag, you packed panties. I say, yes, I packed panties. But because I had a C-section, I packed the wrong panties. Now, because I had a C-section, I packed the wrong panties. The panties I packed was going to stay on the line of my C-section, which is not supposed to be. So at intervals, I have to go to the toilet, adjust the pants so that it won't touch it, then come back. Then if I feel discomfort again, I'll go back and adjust myself. But if I had gone with a high waist pants, the pants that comes up to my belly button or above it, I will have felt comfortable. Even if you are having a vaginal delivery, because the pant is coming above your belly button, it also helps to give a cushion effect to your stomach. That stomach that feels flabby and as if it's moving around a lot, it will help you keep it together in one place. So I will advise. When I did that hospital bag, I did not have experience. Now I have experience. I will advise that you go with an high waist pant. That way, to keep pressure on your stomach, and we want flat tummy, it will help the process to be faster. And last but not the least, something I wish I went with the hospital with. This one I did not even go with it at all, because I didn't plan to have C-section. So why would I go with it? Is spirit. Like, what is spirit used for? That we don't use spirit to clean our baby's cord anymore now. Yes, we don't. But because of my C-section, I had to use it to clean up myself. I didn't know that I was going to be the plaster was going to be removed as soon as it was, like after 24 hours, like after 48 hours. The doctor came and checked to know how fast I was healing. He said, well, you are healing fine. There's no need to cover it again. So this is how you are going to clean yourself. So I can clean myself. I don't have spirits now. I had to borrow. The way I borrowed Nightingale, I had to borrow. And it can be embarrassing borrowing now. I don't like to borrow. Even to beg my own brother for something, you know that for me to beg, if I must have gotten to here, to not beg a total stranger to borrow me. So I would not have to have gone through all that if I'd had them in my bag. So these things, if you have them, just have them extra. You might not go through C-section, or you might even have a planned C-section. This will help you stay comfortable during your stay in the hospital, especially that pant. You will not need to bother about something touching your scar line at all. You just be above, and it will keep your stomach together. And the skirt too, to help keep your stomach together instead of the stomach rumbling up and down. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has been, please give us a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please, I'm begging, please go to the subscribe button, subscribe to this channel for more informative video, and also click on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know anytime we drop a new video. So we'll come your way again. Keep loving your baby, and also take good care of yourself.